Hello everyone, welcome back to Reddo Reads. The time a woman threw a lobster at me. I used to work retail at a mom-and-pop costume store. It was the Saturday before Halloween, and I was working the register closest to the door, which meant that I was handling returns and exchanges. Like most costume stores, all sales were final at our store. That being said, we did try our best to accommodate customers and would exchange the sizes or issue refunds for customers with manufacturer defects. We would also do repairs on items that were just badly made. About 30 minutes into the shift, while I am still fresh luckily, this woman came in for a return and is told by the greeter that I can help her with her issue. She walks up to my register, completely ignoring the fact that I am in the middle of checking someone out, starts to tell me she needs to do a return. I stop her and tell her I heard her conversation with the greeter, but she will wait until I am done with my current transaction. She rolled her eyes at me, but stepped aside. Once I was done, she hands me a dog's lobster costume and tells me she needs to return it. I ask if she has the receipt and why is she returning it. She says she doesn't have the receipt and that it was too small for her dog. I explain to her that all sales are final, but if she wants to exchange the size, we can try. She starts to try and argue, but I stop her and tell her before we can do anything, I need to look up her receipt. The best way to go about that is scan the item and look up the sales history. When I go to do that, nothing came up. I then try a keyword search. Nothing. Check the item list for the manufacturer. Nope. I asked the woman if she is sure she got it at our store because, as far as I can tell, we don't sell it. She then starts shrieking and cursing that of course she's sure. I ask her if she's got her credit card app on her phone and can show me the transaction on her end that might help me find it. She continues to shriek at me and refuses. She then points to a generic price sticker on the front and tells me that this is our store's price sticker. I pick up another item and show her what our store's price sticker actually looks like. At this point, she is literally turning red and cussing up a storm. She demands to see a manager. However, our owner was standing at the register next to me the whole time. He says that he's been listening in and that there is nothing else we can do for her unless we can track down some record of the purchase. She then shrieks and cusses some more and goes to storm out of the store. But right as she reaches the door, she turns around and lobs the costume at me. I duck sideways and it misses. I call after her to have a good day. The owner asks me if I'm okay, to which I shrugged and said, sure. I pick up the costume, tossed it in our lost and found, and then continued on with my day. At the end of Halloween, we would always have a little party and our owner would get us a cake. That year, one of my co-workers, who was also an artist, drew a cartoon of Lobster Lady to put on the cake so that we could all devour her. A few weeks after Halloween, when we were going through the lost and found, I picked up the costume and asked our owner what I should do with it, since no one had ever returned for it. He shrugged and told me to keep it, because I had earned it. When I read the title of this story, I was like, oh, poor lobster. But after reading this story, I'm going, oh, poor dog. Because I have a dog too, and I would love to buy him some kind of costume. But every time I put his raincoat on him, he looks so miserable and hates it so much that every time I see a dog costume, I remember his poor face and I never buy it. But I would love to see my dog in a lobster costume. As for this lady, it was just weird. Clearly, she was trying to make a quick buck, but then she simply gave up the instrument with which she could get the quick buck. But I guess she was too proud to tuck her tail between her stupid legs, come back and get the costume. Y'all, we finally hit 200 subscribers! I am so happy. Do you think we could hit 250 until the end of this week? It sounds minor, I know, but for me it's such a big deal. So if you can, hit a subscribe and you will make my day. Finally learn to give it back after 5 years. Working at a bottle shop, we are usually solo with occasional overlapping where there are 2 of us at a given time. This particular day, I was by myself. I had to close this door to take rubbish out, take the pallets out, and take my 15 minutes break, and get change for the big notes to small notes from a machine. So I shut this door and I had a cardboard clock hanging, which said be back at 6:55 to 7 p.m. And I had closed at 6:30. So I am already trying to rush my break. I don't mind much because usually the last hour is so quiet that it's technically a break for the whole hour because I make sure everything is done before the last hour or so. Anyways, as I was getting change, last step before opening the store, the machine is next to the shop. I overheard another store's employee saying, "He won't be long. They're usually working by themselves, so they have to shut the store." I knew she was talking about me and trying to defend me. So I look at the person that was spoken to and he said to her, "It doesn't matter. How do I know how long he will be?" Then I told him there is a clock on the door and have a look. And he looked up and it was just under the time the cardboard clock showed. He then looks at the clock and looks at his wristwatch and realizes that not only was there a sign showing when the shop would reopen, but also there were still a couple of minutes left. As I was inserting the big notes into the machine, he came over and said, "Take your time, mate. I have got all day." I asked if he was being sarcastic, like playing around, or if he was serious, and again, he said the same thing, "Take your time, mate." I just replied by saying, "Mate, I am going to open the store in a few minutes, and if you come in, I am not serving you, so might as well get lost now and go somewhere else." He then proceeds to walk away. It was such a great feeling. I just wish the other guy who has not returned for a while comes back, so I can give it back to him too. This guy was always a rude person. One time we ran out of bags. So he asked me for a bag. I said, "Sorry, we ran out." To which he says, "Well, get some. How hard is it?" I really wish OP's manager doesn't read this subreddit. Because I personally understand that the dude was being a butthole and he totally deserved what he got. But I think the manager would be like, "No, we serve every customer, no matter what. 100% satisfaction guarantee." Another thing I wonder, maybe he doesn't know how to read the clock, so he really did not know when the shop will reopen. What? Let me set the scene. A young woman still currently working as a cashier at a hardware store that primarily likes a color that is the same name as a fruit. Been working for the company for over 5 years. And on one particular day happens to have a family go through their line. This is a family of middle-aged gentlemen and a middle-aged woman with their 2 children, 1 boy and 1 girl. The girl looks about 7 years old and the boy looks about 5 or 6. The cashier starts ringing up the items just as usual as they've been trained to do. And the gentleman decided to ask if the wooden trellis that he has that literally has a small chip out of it, not even an inch, if he could get a discount on it. To appease the gentleman, the cashier offered 10% off, because they have a lot more trellis if the gentleman would like to get a different one instead, because it is a very small chip. The gentleman tries to haggle and tries to get 30% off. The cashier, firming their decision, says 10%. The gentleman made a remark that he would be able to get that 10% with military discount. As this continuing this entire time, there is another associate just standing there watching because they are waiting to help load the 3 carts. As the cashier nears towards the end of the cart and the gentleman tries to chat up the other associate, and it's a shame that he cannot get more discounts, that he has spent thousands and thousands of dollars and that he should get more of a discount. The cashier then resumes on scanning the rest of the 3 cards. During this time, the little girl will go and decide that she will voice her opinion to her mother quite loudly and say that the cashier was being rude and being mean because they were not allowing the gentleman to have the discount that they wanted. Once the cashier was on the 2nd card, the mother then took the 2 children out of the store so that they would no longer continue to call the cashier mean. The cashier has mentioned nothing about the child and the rudeness. The gentleman tried to have it where there was more item for discounts, such as a broken bag of soil and 2 bags of rocks that have 2 tiny holes. The cashier says that for the soil bag they could do half off since it is a quite big hole where the bag is almost ripped in half, but they only can do 20% on the bags of rocks. The gentleman again tried to argue for more of a discount, and the cashier had to explain that they could understand the discount of 50% off for the bag of soil because it was ripped open, that if they were able to repair the bag with a piece of tape, they would be charged the full price. She asked the gentleman if he would like her to go get a piece of tape. He said no. And finally, right before the valiant cashier hits the total button, he taps one more time to get more discounts. Instead, the cashier hits the total button and lets them know what the total is. Once after the customer, after complaining a bit, pays the cashier wishes them to have a nice day with a smile on their face. Once the 3 cards are rolled away, the cashier has a breath to wonder, what the F? Dude, it really looks like the gentleman in this story was really going around the store and looking for defective items. I can get discount for that. Ooh, that one is ripped. I can get a discount for that. Ooh, that one is chipped. I can get a discount for that. No, I mean, I do understand the thrill of a good deal. But you have to have a lot of spare time on your hands to be able to really look around and find those items. Electric cards are not toys. Yesterday, I was working a night shift at my job. Like most retail stores, we have electric cards that are meant for use for people who either have difficulty walking or cannot walk at all. I was entering the store an hour from closing when I witnessed an appalling sight. 2 kids were playing on the electric carts. Like, they were full-on riding them with smiles on their faces. Now, no one likes a good time more than I do. However, those carts are meant for use for handicapped people. They are not toys. I sternly told the 2 boys to get off the carts and that they are meant for use by handicapped people. With the biggest smile on his face, one of the boys said that he had just walked 60 miles. In what universe is that comparable to being handicapped? I got my manager who promptly dealt with them. Generally, the kids who come into my store are very well behaved for the most part, but this is unacceptable. By the way, these 2 boys were middle school aged, definitely old enough to know better. Oh, this kind of stories really upset me. I mean, there is no that much drama in this situation, but I'm just so tired of people not knowing better. Because I've seen so many times kids riding them as it is some kind of a free attraction, and more so even when their parents were around, which was heartbreaking for me because I can give a little slack to the middle school kids, but I cannot give any slack to adults who let this happen. I lied about being stung by a bee and having an allergic reaction. So I know this sounds bad, and it kind of is. This happened when I was 15 or 16. I was at a week-long summer camp on some forested island in the middle of nowhere. I was put in the groups of the oldest kids, but I was still a year older than everyone there. Girls in my cabin snored, the guys weren't cute, and one night we had to sleep on the ground with raccoons running across us. I was not having it. I want to go back to my villa. I smell like Shrek's swamp. To the 3rd or 4th morning, I hatched a plan. I have a shellfish allergy, so the camp had my EpiPen along with my other medications. I decided, while waiting in line for the bathroom at breakfast, to put my acting skills to the test. Labored breathing, bugged out eyes, the works. The other campers were like, "She's dying!" And they took me to the mad people. I whizzed out, "Sting!" They asked me if I was allergic, and I gave them a look of, "What do you think, dude?" I made the leg stabbing motion of the EpiPen, and they grabbed it and gave me the stab. Of course, by now I had gathered an audience of a bunch of 8 to 12-year-olds with terror in their eyes. They called the ambulance, dudes came in and gave me IV, heart rate, etc. They asked me about my voice, and I have a very raspy and deep voice, especially for a girl. I let them know I've always had a voice like this, and it's unrelated. I got carted off to the health hut to be monitored. I would have to stay there for a few hours before I could go back to the camp stuff. However, if I had another reaction, they would have to take me to the hospital. I was like, okay, in the most slightly traumatized but also annoyed teenager voice I could muster. I lie there, staring at the bunk above me. We weren't allowed to bring our phones to the camp, so I was bored out of my mind. 45-ish minutes later, I decided to start the show again. They came in and took me to a smaller room and gave me another dose of epinephrine. The ambulance came back and they said they didn't have a choice but to take me to the hospital. Hopped in the ambulance with like 70 kids gawking at me, drove on the bumpiest road I've ever been on, and all of a sudden, we stopped. Why are we stopped? Me. Is that an effing helicopter? Ambulance guy. We're in an island, dude. Me. Oh yeah. Getting into the back of that helicopter was honestly wild. It's such a tight space in there. I was glad I wasn't claustrophobic. The helicopter dude was trying to keep me calm by talking to me about where I was from. So Scarlett, how old are you? Are you from around here? I'm 16 and sort of, I live in the name of the city. Oh, no way, my family is from there too. I'm not around much obviously, since I'm an air ambulance guy. My kids are your age. What school do you go to? I go to that high school. Oh, no way! My kids go there. You're a sophomore, right? Yeah. My daughter is a sophomore too. I don't know if it's like a confidential or something, but what's your daughter's name? Maybe I know her? Her name is Penelope Millard. No way! I do know her. She's good friends with one of my good friends. You probably know her, Kyra? Yep, Kyra is over at our place all the time. What a small world. I don't know if this violates HIPAA, since I'm asking you to give away my name, but tell her I said hi, lol. I'll tell her I lifted one of her friends to the hospital. Haha, you should tell her. Me, passes the F out from the Benadryl. Fast forward like 2 hours, my mom makes the 2-hour drive to the hospital I was at and was like, what the heck did you do, child? I just rolled my eyes and kept reading my book. I stayed in the hospital for a little longer, then was able to go home. Not related, but all my stuff was left at the camp and I had to pick it up at the end of the week. I did not tell my mom that I faked the whole thing, obviously. Months-ish later, I got allergy tested. When the results came back, they were positive to like every kind of bee or wasp or hornet. I was stunned. I've never been stung by a bee before. I've been terrified of them my whole life, but allergic? Like full-on anaphylactic allergy? I don't know when I tell my parents this, probably on their deathbed. So yeah, sorry this was so long and also sorry for formatting. I'm on mobile. I went up to Kyra at school and I was like, your dad airlifted me off an island. She was like, what? I explained it to her, minus the part where I faked the whole bee sting. And she was like, yeah, he told me something about meeting one of my friends on the job. I didn't know it was you though. Funny stuff. Wow, I am so conflicted here. Because, well, doing this is horrible. Wasting resources, your parents' money, wasting time of everyone, scaring kids. But on the other hand, the allergy turned out to be real. So would OP be okay if they had just an EpiPen and the bee or hornet or wasp really stung them? We don't know. Because these kind of things hit really close to home for me. Because my father, he has the same anaphylactic allergy to wasps and hornets and bees. And I remember when I was 11 or 12, so like many years ago, he got stung by a bee while driving and he started to lose it. So he stopped the car near the pharmacy and he went inside and it was all, Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good. But instead of disintegrating into dust, he just fell down on the pharmacy floor and the pharmacist helped him and called the ambulance and everything. but he went into coma and stayed there for some time. He was relatively unharmed and all his functions were intact, but still, it was very scary for our family. After that, he always has his EpiPen, his allergy medications, he's very careful where he goes. So I cannot even imagine if something happened to him on an island. But all the faking in this story, yeah, I feel conflicted. What do you guys think? Y'all, we finally hit 200 subscribers! I am so happy. Do you think we could hit 250 until the end of this week? It sounds minor, I know, but for me it's such a big deal. So if you can, hit a subscribe and you will make my day. When I was a kid, I stole my neighbor's bra and buried it. When I was 11 years old in 2007, I had this neighbor. She was a teacher and was a really nice person overall, giving me cookies, play with me and my sister, like hide and seek, football. I remember playing a game alone. I used to call it adventure. I go behind apartments and see what I can find thrown there. I used to do this about 2 or 3 times a month. My biggest all-time finds are 50 euros and a big silver ring. One day I got out, started by looking behind the building where I live. I saw a purple bra thrown on the ground. Her apartment is on the lowest floor, and I saw her clothes drying from her window, so I was fully convinced it was hers. I played with this bra with my friend all day. We helicoptered it, spinning it around and running with it. I remember we had so much fun that when we finished playing with it, it was in no condition to return it. So I put it in a box and buried it when everyone went home. A week later, I saw she was putting her stuff drying on her window. So I got the stick of the mop and tried to make anything fall, but it was a failure. I didn't get anything. It was so hard, my neck hurts from looking up all the time. So I waited for days after my failure for her to put more clothes. When she finally did, on a day that I didn't have to go to school, I tried again and managed to get another bra. It was white. This time I played with it like the first one, but alone this time. When I finished, I got another box and buried it next to the other. I didn't steal a single thing after that. Fast forward to now, I know the place but forgot where I buried it exactly. Looking back, I feel like crap. She was living alone, working, plus had to deal with stolen bras. I don't know if she noticed or not. 5 years later, she got married and moved out, but like once a year, she comes back with her husband and her kids. When she sees my mom or my sister, she always asks them about me and how I was a polite kid. Just a week ago, I was coming home. She saw me and we started talking. She's the best, always smiling, cheerful, and nice to me. From last week, all I think about is how I stole from her, and I feel like crap. Well, I think it's safe to say that this confession should stay with OP. Because I cannot even imagine the face of that lady when the neighbor from your past apartment comes up to you, whom you remember to be a sweet child, with whom you played when he was young. He comes up to you and says, "Hey lady, you know, I stole your bra 2 times actually, and buried them." So yeah, let's not share this secret. I went crazy and threw 2 glass cups at a customer. I work for my family's business, a small coffee shop. We have a rule of toilet only for customers. We used to be very lenient and let everyone go, but that translated into a 2K water bill per month. So now we are more strict. Although we let anyone who asks nicely to go anyway. Anyways, today I was closing the shop on my own when I saw this dude near the door, but he ran off when I saw him. I continued cleaning, and when I looked up again, the dude ran inside straight to the bathroom. No hello, no nothing. I called out to him and told him he can't use the bathroom unless he buys something first. He refused, made up excuses, just wouldn't take no for an answer, and totally disregarded me and continued his way to the bathroom. I saw red. I felt so disrespected and anger took over my body. I happened to have 2 glass cups in my hands and threw them at him. Luckily for him, my aim is crap and didn't hit him. But it was enough to scare him off. I wish I had sweared at him, but I was so angry I couldn't think of insults. Now that I'm calmer, I regret it. I think he deserves this care, but I still shouldn't have done it. And more importantly, we are running out of cups and I break two on purpose. I won't tell my family about this incident and I'm gonna make up some lie about the broken cups. I know what I did is totally crazy and I shouldn't have done it. But sadly, I act on emotion far more than I should. And here is the comment I really liked. It's a pain. Code lock on the bathroom door. Don't know the 4-digit code? Not getting in. Some customers will moan and moan, others will understand. As a customer, it doesn't bother me. I grew up in a popular tourist area and it was pretty standard. Your bathroom will stay much cleaner, less water and supplies used. You won't throw things, probably. And Obi replied, I like that probably you added at the end. It's like you know me. It's very funny, but yeah, Obi should be careful because someday, after many times throwing stuff at people, his aim will become better and he will definitely hit someone with a cup. I tell customers at my work that I'm dyslexic because I cannot count. I am literally just stupid, like really effing dumb. When I'm cashing someone out and then they decide to go, oh wait, I have 68 cents, my brain turns off and I cannot do the math. I don't want to pull out my calculator either. I often say, oh sorry, I cannot add that change in because the system needs to count every coin and bill, which is not true. Other times they go to hand me the change and then I freeze and look confused. The customer can tell and is able to tell me exactly what I need to give them back and I just go, oh sorry, I'm dyslexic. I usually just go off of what the customer tells me and pray they're not ripping me off. And as soon as they leave, I double check with my calculator. I hate to fake a disability, but the absolute embarrassment and harassment I get from some of these customers is excruciating. When I tell them I'm dyslexic, they kind of relax a little bit and apologize for being rude. I have actually gotten to the point of almost crying because I am so stupid and I cannot count change. I hate when they make a scene. Well, I googled and it is called not dyslexia, but dyscalculia. So it is like dyslexia, but for counting. And I believe it is this thing, not just being stupid. So I think OP should go get checked, get a real diagnosis, and live happily ever after, not feeling ashamed to be himself, right? The story was the silence. Music saved us. I had just found the courage to leave my marriage. My ex hadn't let me spend the money I made, so with my new freedom, I decided to invest in viola lessons. I had studied it up until my early 20s and have had some exquisite teachers, but quality lessons are very expensive. I was ready and able to return. It was so healing to learn how to dig deep to create a big sound. It was the opposite of the lessons I learned in my marriage, to be smaller or quieter. One lesson my instructor taught me was that the snarl and buzz from a huge sound is only audible to the player. Look, he showed me, the sound that carries is beautiful. He had me stand close and far and he made an open projected sound. You are safe to step out, safe to be wild. He also taught me about soaring joyful sounds. I had always excelled at sorrowful songs. He related, the teen angst of viola is what brought us here. We shared a laugh. He understood. He also understood what my next steps were. After working through that song, we played a recital at a retirement home. I saw an elderly man wiping tears after my performance. Afterward, we shared cookies and punch. Internally, I reflected back on how the previous 2 years with an informal group of women playing ensemble music had helped me reframe that I really did own my own life, and I didn't need to be stuck powerless in my marriage. I reflected that my very good job was only possible because the lessons of music taught me how to incrementally improve and be thoughtful about how I work and study and learn. I thought about my new boyfriend, who I met through music, who after that would become my spouse and the father of my children. I thought about the elite highbrow worlds that I saw through music education that showed me something different than my chaotic and mentally ill childhood home life. I stood there with my napkin and plastic cup, speaking with my viola teacher. and the woman who played collaborative piano with me during my piece. Wow, I said, where would my life be without music? Here's what surprised me. The violist and pianist both inhaled deeply and said, "Oh wow, ain't that the truth?" And we stood there in silence, and I could see their lives too, like mine, rescued from chaos, structured, and transmogrified into some better thing. We didn't say anything else, but I could see it. I think they might have had childhoods like mine, in some diagonal sense. We made it. We were eating cookies in a retirement home, and this is what success is. We survived, with the ability to love and to create and to hold gratitude for what we overcame. Since then, only a little more than a decade ago, they have both passed away, young. She in her 50s and he in his 40s, both with children. So I am remembering them this morning and that moment where we said nothing, but I saw them in focus. And myself. They helped me during that time. I moved away from that town and I haven't found another teacher. My life changed when I became a parent and playing music has fallen to the side. Maybe this weekend I can go find that shit music and play that song again. OMG, it made me tearful. This is such a beautiful story. I just hope that everyone can find something in their life that can carry them through dark places and bring them to light. And of course, it doesn't necessarily have to be something exquisite and sophisticated like music. For example, for me is taking care of my dog. Any simple thing like taking him for a walk or giving him a treat or groom him just makes any bad day for me a good day. So I really do hope that you all have such a thing. And I am so sorry for being this unexpectedly emotional. Y'all, we finally hit 200 subscribers! I am so happy. Do you think we could hit 250 until the end of this week? It sounds minor, I know, but for me it's such a big deal. So if you can, hit a subscribe and you will make my day. A letter for a crush. When I was around 11, I got it into my head that I wanted a girlfriend. I'd moved to a new school a few years prior and didn't like my prospects there, but I remembered this girl from my old school with whom there was a mutual crush situation, as much as a couple 8-year-olds are capable of such a thing. So I decided to shoot my shot by writing her a letter. I don't remember the exact details, but I do know that I cut out a picture of myself from my most recent yearbook and glued that to the bottom so she would know what I looked like. I found her address in an old school directory, mailed it out and promptly forgot about it. And obviously didn't receive a response. A few years later, her and I reconnect via a mutual friend on AIM and catch up. She asked me about this weird letter she received and wanted to know if it was actually me who sent it. I genuinely didn't remember doing it at the time, so I told her I had no idea what she was talking about and that it must have been some kind of weird prank or something. Flash forward like 10 years. College me is trying to fall asleep and for some reason it all comes rushing back to me. And I shoot up out of the bed like the movies and damn near cringe myself to passing. I was absolutely mortified and vowed I'd never discuss it with anyone under any circumstances. As a more mature adult now in my early 30s, I found it both adorable and hilarious. Oh, that's so cute! Childhood crushes are so cute. For example, I still remember my first crush back in kindergarten. I don't really want to know what happened to them now, but I just feel so happy for a young me that she experienced the crush. It's nice. I saw a crab at a silent retreat. I was in Bali a while ago and did a silent retreat for a few nights. It was really lovely and exactly what I needed. It was up in the rice terraces near Ubud, and they had a walk you could do through the rice paddies. As I went along my work through town, I saw a crab scurrying around the road and then sneak behind a house. It was so funny because I have no idea where it came from. Ubud is inland and there is not any major sources of water around as far as I could tell, And since I was at a silent retreat, I wasn't able to tell anyone about it, so I kept it to myself. Because of that, I forgot about it until today, about 7 months later. I love this story, as every story we have today. My theory is that the crab himself was on a silent retreat for crabs. They just gather around, chill, eat whatever crabs eat, and also stay silent. Wait, so whole crab life is a crab silent retreat. Sounds lovely. My best friend's mom kidnapped me. I've been friends with that girl since middle school. I've met her entire family. Her dad calls me son. I work at a clothing store, and I tell her mom that I get a discount there and offer it to use the discount on her anytime they went. Well, today it happened. They picked me up from my house and took me off to one branch of the store I work at. While there, they said they were gonna take me to dinner as a thanks for the discount. Little did I know that the dinner was actually some popcorn at a scary movie. I hate scary movies. I'm not complaining though. I got to see my best friend and her family, who I'm close to. I got to see a movie for free, and her mom even bought me a sweater I've been wanting. Overall, a pleasant night, but completely unexpected and unplanned. I hope I get kidnapped again. Ooh, I'm a little bit envious here, to be honest, because I do not have any lasting childhood friendships that I successfully transformed into my adult friendships. To be very honest, I do not have that many friends. I have several people with whom I close, but I guess that's the reason why I spend so much time reading Reddit, speaking to people there, and I guess this channel was created for a similar reason. I always wanted to have a bigger friend group, and since I didn't have it, now you can all subscribe and join our big orange friend circle. The nicest thing I've heard of in a long time. My friend's daughter is studying for an important exam. She wanted to support her daughter in any way she could, so she sits in the same room and just reads her own book while her daughter is studying. Her daughter likes it. So nice. Such love! It is so sweet! I remember years ago when my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, he was writing his master's thesis, and we had only one laptop to share, so I didn't really have that much stuff to do around him. So I was just sitting around being supportive, because I had no idea what he was writing about, because he's an engineer. So I was there just making sure that he knew that he was doing a great job. I had veggies on pizza. This past weekend, on a whim, I ordered a supreme pizza that had onion, jalapenos, and olives on it, in addition to pepperoni and sausage. I was blown away how much I loved it. I'm 40 years old, and I'm still discovering so many foods that now I love that I used to think were disgusting. Oh, absolutely. For example, one of my favorite pizza toppings is bell pepper or paprika, however you call it. It adds so much freshness and taste to the pizza. So next time you're feeling adventurous, put some paprika on your pizza and let me know if you liked it. By the way, what is your favorite pizza topping? My phone charger. One of the biggest mysteries in my life is my phone charger suddenly disappearing back in August 2017. It was the only black charger in our home, and every one of us who has a smartphone have their one or two charger of their own, so there is less possibility that someone used and misplaced it. But mine suddenly disappeared. I still asked everyone if they use it though, but all of them said that they are always using their own charger, and they knew how slow my charger was, so there is no way they would use it. I also never bring my charger outside our house, as I always fully charge it before going anywhere, and I'm disciplined enough to not use my phone outside of breaks in school. Even after 8 months, my charger still hasn't turned up. I already have a new but second-hand charger that my older sister gave me after she got a new phone. In a span of 8 months, we cleaned our whole house for 2 or 3 times. We already turned every nook and cranny upside down for cleaning, but my black charger is still gone. I have a theory where the charger can actually be. This similar story happened to me, but I misplaced not a charger, but some papers. It was back then when I was still living with my parents, and me and my mom, we turned our house upside down. Really? We checked everywhere. We moved furniture. We looked behind the fridge, of all places. But then, maybe 3 weeks later, I did find those papers, and they were in my gym duffel bag that I used as a shopping bag for some reason that day. And then I totally forgot about using it. And then when I was getting ready to travel somewhere, I found the papers. So yeah, that might be the case. Look inside of the odd bags that you don't really use that much, but maybe it's there. I now get ready faster than my husband. When we were first married, I always took longer to get ready. I did my hair, makeup, picked my clothes carefully, etc. My husband used to get frustrated waiting for me. He started waiting until I was almost done to start getting ready himself. Now, many years later, I get ready much faster, but he still waits until the last minute to get ready. So now I am ready first almost every time, and I sit in the car waiting for him. I think it is funny that we have switched roles after almost 20 years of marriage. Why I like this story, you would ask me? I like this story because it gives us an insight about an evolvement of character of OP. Because with time, as I see it, they became more relaxed and forgiving of themselves. So now they do not need as much time to feel good about themselves. They are happy as they are. Something I wondered was actually true. A few weeks ago, we took a drive out to a national park to off-road and look at the animals. It was in the next town over where a friend lives. I looked at the map and remembered she said they live 10 kilometers out of the town on a farm. The nature reserve was also about 10 kilometers away from the town. I wondered if they lived next to the nature reserve, wouldn't that be a coincidence? It turns out they do actually live bordering the nature reserve. Well, this story was truly pointless, but that's why I actually really liked it. And also I wonder how nice should it be to live just near the nature reserve. I ate peanut soup over rice with meatball. I love meatball so much. That's my favorite food, especially meatball subs. So when I finished taking a shower, I came downstairs and my older sister was cooking. She said she's cooking peanut soup with meatball. And I was so excited. You guys already know I love meatball, and I cannot live without meatball. My older sister will also teach me how to cook. I always want to learn how to cook. When I'm studying for my DMV, I can smell the peanut soup, and I said, oh, I can smell the peanut soup. And finally, the peanut soup is ready. So I took a plate, put a rice in my plate, put a peanut soup on my rice, and put 3 meatballs. That peanut soup was delicious. My older sister is good at cooking. By the way, I'm African, and peanut soup is an African food. I recommend you guys to try the peanut soup. It's delicious. Welp, it's time to Google the peanut soup recipe, I guess. This story is so short and simple, but I just feel so warm and fuzzy, as if I'm there in their kitchen eating rice with peanut soup and meatballs. Aw, it makes me smile so much. Am I the butthole for telling all my family that if I'm babysitting, there are no rules? My family tends to stick me, 18-year-old female, with my nieces and nephews when we get together. I am also the go-to for babysitting. I do not get paid for this because since my siblings watched me when I was little, I owe them. I don't really mind. I love all the kids and they're well-behaved and polite, with me at least, because I do not put up with their crap. I established dominance early with all of them. I also have no craps to give when it comes to the rules regarding watching them. I would never allow them to get hurt or anything. I just won't follow a huge list of rules. If you want your kid to eat vegan, then you better bring a vegan meal for them. Otherwise, they get pizza, or dino nuggets, or hot dogs. If they aren't allowed to watch woke movies or TV, so it's up to you to provide a TV and media, because I am putting on Frozen or something. My parents keep telling me that I have to follow the rules when I'm babysitting. I just keep asking why. What's the worst anyone can do to me? Take away my free babysitting? Oh, poor me? We are in Jasper right now and it's been hot AF. So I took the kiddos cliff jumping at a horseshoe lake. I brought them back wet and filthy. Everyone told me I was being a crap babysitter. I offered a full refund. Then I went and got a beer with some friends I made at the lake. I have a full scholarship. When I turned 18, I also got a small inheritance. It's enough that I won't have to work for spending money during my university years and put a down payment on a house. I'll probably leave it though. I literally do not need financial help from my family, so they have no hold over me. My siblings and I all got the exact same inheritance, except I was only 3 when my grandmother passed away, so it's been collecting compound interest for almost 20 years. My trust fund is about 4 times what my siblings each got. My family thinks I'm being an entitled butt, but they also won't pay me. I am more than willing to follow any rule I am paid to follow. Oh, totally not the butthole. Are you kidding me? Siblings get free services, full board by the way, food's included. Their kids must be happy AF because they do all sorts of fun stuff. But in the end, you're unhappy with it. In the very rare occasions I babysit my niece, I do not get paid, but I do not expect to get paid for that. My sister's only requirement is to give my niece back alive and intact. Bonus points if entertained. But other than that, no rules, obviously. Y'all, we finally hit 200 subscribers! I am so happy. Do you think we could hit 250 until the end of this week? It sounds minor, I know, but for me it's such a big deal. So if you can, hit a subscribe and you will make my day. Am I the butthole for embarrassing my parents in family therapy? I am 15 male, in family therapy with my parents and my sisters, Alicia, 13 female, and Kylie, 12 female. Therapy is pretty new and not going so well. We're not a close family, we have a lot of issues, and I know we have extra stresses because Alicia has a lot of complex medical issues and she cannot do everything Kylie and I can. She needs a wheelchair sometimes, she's on a lot of meds. But she can be fine sometimes too and can enjoy life. But she has limitations, we don't. And my parents make me feel like they want me to be another adult and not one of their kids. They don't like me spending time with friends. They say I could be home, helping, taking care of my sisters, or doing stuff at home for them. When I do go, they can make me take one or both sisters, get angry if Alicia cannot join. If I'm forced to take one of my sisters or both, I cannot have fun. I get stuck making sure they're okay. Even birthday parties, like at places and not kid parties anymore. I can be forced to bring them when they're not invited and I get to watch them have fun. If I have fun at something and my sisters don't, then I get in trouble. Happened during our last field trips. I had a great time. Alicia had to leave early because she was sick. Kylie had such a bad time. I told Grandpa I had a great time and my parents berated me for it. While Kylie got to talk about how fun my best friend's birthday at the trampoline park was, and she didn't get into trouble for Alicia being jealous and missing out like I would. I got berated for not having fun though, for acting spoiled that I didn't have a good time. They get mad if I don't buy my sister's birthday and Christmas gifts. They get mad that I get gifts from my best friend's parents. They get mad that I get involved in my best friend's family events as a friend for him to hang out with, and it's made clear my sisters aren't invited, even if it's something they could be included in. My parents get annoyed when I confide in Grandpa, but they also get annoyed if I tell them how they make me feel. Alicia hates being left out, which I get, but I'm the only one my parents get angry with for it. Now we're in family therapy. My parents are using it to talk about how awful I am. They say I'm making life harder for everyone. They didn't expect me to say how things really are, but I did. After my parents said I act like a 5-year-old who doesn't like being the center of attention, I brought up in therapy how they treat me and how I feel like they take their frustration about Alicia requiring so much care out on me. How I'm held to a higher standard and they want me to be an adult and not a kid. I said they cannot stand me having fun without my sisters or seeing me being the only one having fun, but almost like it when I'm the one not having fun. My parents got so pissed at me after the session and accused me of embarrassing them. I told them they just didn't want me to speak so openly in front of my sisters, which is why they include them. Am I the butthole? I was looking through comments and I have stumbled upon this comment I will read you. Therapist here. A lot of people start couples or family therapy because they want the therapist to help them bully the other person or people into admitting fault and deferring to them. While it's true that admitting fault is a desirable part of the process, there should be more than one person accepting responsibility for their role in the problem. There is a dynamic involved in the family processes, and a dynamic always involves more than one person. If your parents aren't ready to embrace these concepts, they are unlikely to continue with the therapy, to be honest. Without everyone being honest about their feelings and perceptions, it's not going to help. Continue being direct with them. It's supposed to be a safe place for you to share your experiences without fear of retribution, not the butthole. Oh wow, I love Reddit for it, because you can get a feedback from any kind of person there, even therapists, especially therapists. But yeah, OP's parents are just toxic. I just hope that nothing majorly bad will happen during these 3 years and he will just move away to just go to college or to get employed or something, and he will not have to stay in this situation. Am I the butthole for not punishing my daughter for what she said? My husband and I are slightly more well off than my sister's family. Because of this, my parents do more for them than they do for us. When it comes to gifts, my daughter, Maddie, she's 7, get things from the dollar store, while my nephews get whole Lego sets, iPads, and even Disney trips. If my sister needs babysitting, they will drop everything for her last minute. If I need it, I have to give them a 2 weeks heads up as well as a proper payment. Because of this clear favoritism, my daughter doesn't have a good relationship with them. If you ask her about her grandparents, her mind automatically goes to my husband's parents, because she forgets that she has 2 pairs. Earlier today, we're having a rare meetup with my parents. My daughter asked if she can go on the trampoline outside. My dad said no, because it's for my nephews. My daughter begged, but dad still said no. Maddie then stomps away and said, "This is why I like other grandma and grandpa more." My parents looked at me expectantly, but I didn't do anything. I recently got off a call with my mom saying I should have told Maddie that was wrong to say. I told her, "What do you expect? She thinks you'll hate her, and you'll do nothing to dispel those thoughts." She just got quiet for a bit, then said I still shouldn't let her say something like that to family, and hung up. My husband is on my side, but also he isn't a fan of my family, so I need an outside opinion. Am I the butthole? Also, there is an edit. To make some of you feel better, we do not bring her around them often. She only sees them on holidays with the rest of our extended family. We were only visiting today to get something I was left in a will. As for babysitting, I have only asked twice in extreme emergencies, and they said no. I have talked to them about this, but they say it's not favoritism. She just needs less help because we're better off. I just got off the phone with my uncle. Apparently, Dad called him ranting about how disrespectful we are. Apparently, this all stems from me going to college. Dad said since I had to be all hoity-toity and go to college, I shouldn't need his help, and I should be living the easy life. He also said I'm selfish for trying to take help away from those who need it. Not sure what to think about all that. Just never brought up having a problem with that before. I'm going to discuss this with the rest of the family because with the holidays approaching, I don't want to cut everybody else out to avoid them. So I'm going to ask how they feel about all this. Well, I think OP's parents clearly confuse being grandparents and babysitting. Also, I thought that if you don't go to college, but your kid gets to go to college, you would be proud of them. Clearly, OP's father has some kind of insecurity about him not going to college, but it's just so weird to take it out on his own daughter. Am I the butthole for asking my friend to pay me back for breaking an expensive skincare product? A few days ago, I, 24-year-old female, hosted a sleepover with two of my friends, both also 24. At the end of the night, while we were all taking off our makeup, I told them they could use any of the skincare products in my bathroom cabinet. I'm really into skincare and have a variety of products ranging from drugstore to high-end. A few moments later, one of my friends, Jane, told me she accidentally dropped and broke one of my skincare products. It was the SK2 Pitera Essence, which retails for about 134 Canadian dollars, which is almost $100 American. The bottle is made of glass, so it is quite fragile. It was about 80% full since I had just bought it a couple of weeks earlier. She apologized and said she felt really bad. I told her it was fine, but when I mentioned the cost, she was shocked. I then asked if it would be possible for her to pay me back, not the full price, but at least part of it. She seemed uncomfortable and said she didn't think she should have to pay since it was an accident and I had offered for her to use the products in the first place. Since then, it's been awkward between us, and we haven't spoken. Our other friend who was there isn't taking sides and is staying neutral about the whole situation. Am I the butthole for asking her to cover the cost of the broken product? And there is an edit. I want to thank everybody for their input. I didn't expect this story to get that much attention. I've been reading the responses you guys left, and just to clarify some things. I didn't tell my friends about the price beforehand because it would be kinda awkward to say, "Hey, you can use my stuff, but be careful, it's really expensive." I trusted my friends to use my products responsibly. I keep all my skincare in the same cabinet regardless of cost, because I use them on a daily basis, so it's just more practical. Jane is not wealthy, but she's financially stable. She admitted that she knew it was an expensive product, she's heard of the brand before, but didn't realize it was that expensive. This isn't a hill I want to pass away on, so I'm not going to press the issue further with Jane. I texted her to let her know she doesn't have to reimburse me. Thank you again for all the perspectives. Well, obviously not the butthole. I don't think the friend is butthole either. But I don't know, I just get quite unpleasant vibes from Jane. It is just basic human decency. If you break something that is not yours, you apologize and offer to reimburse for it, right? No matter if it is an expensive product or a cheap product, it's just something you do. Obviously, OPA really cares about Jane, so she doesn't want any reimbursement, but I just wonder if it would be something more expensive, like a laptop, for example, or a TV. If she would break that or scratch it, would she offer to reimburse OP? Or again, the point of, "Oh, I didn't do it on purpose." Frankly, I always find the point of, "Ooh, I didn't do it on purpose," very childish. I want it like this. I'm the boss. You do it how I say. Sure. For context, I work in flooring installation, commercial mostly, usually carpet or vinyl tiles. Have been doing this for 10 years now. I got a work order to do a head office for a large developer. It was carpet tile but with a pattern, lines and border. I start installing and just as I get the first tiles out, after laying the glue, the big boss comes out. He says I'm doing it wrong. I was absolutely stunned. I looked at him, looked back at the tiles I had just put down, looked at him again and asked, "What?" "Those numbers on the back of the tile are the sequence order. You need to follow the numbers," he replied. What he's talking about are God knows what. Part numbers, serial numbers, lot numbers. They have nothing to do with installation, so if I actually followed whatever he was saying, it would look like a mess, not the intended pattern. I tried explaining this to him, but he wouldn't hear it. He got frustrated and called the head office, who in turn called me and said just to do it how he wants it. So I did. As I'm finishing up, he comes back, takes one look at it and says, "I don't like it." I smiled and said, "I don't care. That's how you wanted it." Packed my stuff up and left. He didn't say another word to me. Few days later, I hear that he called the head office asking for someone else to come redo it the way I had originally intended to install it. So the office sent me again, and I got paid to remove the work that I just got paid to install, so I can get paid to install it again. Needless to say that he didn't come out to make small talk the second time. Well, I guess not only a poor man pays twice, but also a grumpy man with his head in his butt also pays twice. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed. You can also watch this awesome video or that awesome playlist. See you next time!